She ran 3 years ago. Pregnant, terrified, and carrying a secret too heavy to name. He never knew. A billionaire who built empires but couldn't find the one woman who disappeared into the night. Now, he walks into a small cafe in a city he's never visited, and there, behind the counter, she stands frozen. But it's not her face that stops his heart. It's the little boy beside her, 3 years old, dark curls, and eyes, his eyes, staring back at him like a mirror he never knew existed. Some secrets can't stay hidden forever. Some loves refuse to die. This is their story. Hello, everyone. I'm back with another unforgettable Afro-Korean love story that will stay with you long after it ends. Before we begin, please subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support means the world, and I wish you all a beautiful day. The bell above the cafe door rang soft and silver. Maya didn't look up. She never did. Customers came and went like seasons, brief, forgettable, necessary. Her hands moved with practiced grace, steaming milk into clouds, pouring espresso dark as midnight. The cafe smelled like cinnamon and second chances. She'd built this life carefully, quietly, far from Seoul, far from him. 3 years of silence had taught her how to breathe again. "Mama, can I have more juice?" She glanced down at Lucas. 3 years old, her entire world compressed into 40 inches of wonder and wildness. His curls caught the afternoon light. His eyes, those eyes, held entire galaxies she couldn't name. "After your sandwich, meu amor." Portuguese rolled off her tongue easier now. Brazil had welcomed her when nowhere else would. This small coastal city knew her as Maya Santos, the quiet barista with the beautiful son. They didn't know about Seoul, about champagne and silk sheets, and a night that had rewritten her DNA. They didn't know about Kang Min-ho. The bell rang again. This time the air changed. Maya felt it before she saw him, that particular heaviness that precedes storms. Her hands stilled on the espresso machine. Slowly, against every instinct screaming at her to run, she looked up, and there he stood, Kang Min-ho, 32 and carved from stone in silence, tailored black suit that cost more than her cafe made in 6 months, hair perfectly styled, face impossible to read. He looked exactly as he had 3 years ago, untouchable, unreachable, unreal. Except now he was real, and he was here. Their eyes met across the cafe. Time folded in on itself. She was 23 again, in a hotel ballroom, dizzy on wine, and the way he'd looked at her like she was the only woman in a room full of diamonds. She was waking up alone, his scent still on her skin, his note cold on the pillow. "I'm sorry. This can't continue." She was buying a pregnancy test with shaking hands. She was boarding a plane to São Paulo with nothing but fear and hope warring in her chest. "Mama!" Lucas's voice shattered the moment. Minho's gaze dropped. Slowly, inevitably, to the child beside her. Maya watched it happen in slow motion, the way his expression shifted from polite neutrality to something she couldn't name. Recognition flickered across his face like lightning before thunder. He stared at Lucas, at those eyes, at the shape of his own face reflected in miniature. The silence felt heavier than the night air. "Can I help you?" Maya's voice came out steady. A miracle. Minho didn't answer. He couldn't stop looking at Lucas. At the child who had his eyes, his brow, his mouth. 3 years old. The math was simple, devastating. "Coffee," he finally said. His voice, God, his voice, still did things to her she'd spent 3 years trying to forget. Americano, black. Professional, detached, as if he hadn't just discovered he had a son. Maya's hands trembled as she reached for a cup. She could feel his eyes on her, heavy, relentless. She made his coffee in silence, each movement mechanical, her heart a war drum in her chest. "That'll be 6 rays." He placed a 100 real note on the counter, didn't ask for change, didn't move. "Is he yours?" 3 words, quiet, lethal. Maya looked up, met his eyes. Those same dark eyes now watching her from two faces, the man who'd broken her heart and the boy who'd rebuilt it. Yes. How old? 3. The math hung between them like smoke. Minho's jaw tightened. We need to talk. No, we don't. Maya, hearing her name in his mouth after 3 years of silence felt like being unmade and remade simultaneously. You don't get to walk in here and demand anything. Her voice was soft, steady. You left, I left. We're strangers now. That boy has my eyes. That boy is my son. Is he mine? The question landed like a blade between her ribs. Lucas tugged her apron. Mama, who's the man? Maya crouched down, eye level with her entire universe. Just a customer, querido. Why don't you go color in the back room? Okay. He kissed her cheek, sticky, sweet, perfect, and ran off. When she stood, Minho was closer. Too close. She could smell his cologne, cedar and rain, memory and regret. Answer me. You had your chance to be part of this. Maya's voice cracked. You chose your empire, your silence, your perfectly controlled life. I didn't know. Would it have mattered? The question hung unanswered. Outside, the city moved on. Cars passed. People laughed. The world kept spinning. But inside the cafe, time had stopped. 2 people. One impossible truth, and a child who connected them in ways neither could undo. Minho's hand lifted, stopped, fell. I'm not leaving, he said quietly. Not this time. Maya closed the cafe early. It was the first time in 3 years she'd turned the sign to fachado before sunset. But she couldn't serve customers with Kang Minho watching her every move like she was a puzzle he needed to solve. He'd taken a corner table, hadn't touched his coffee, just sat there, elegant and impossible while her world tilted sideways. Lucas is asleep in the back, she said, wiping down the counter for the 3rd time. Anything to keep her hands busy. You should go. I opened a branch here 2 months ago. His voice was calm, factual. KM Industries, downtown district. I've been here 8 times. 8 times. And somehow we never... The universe has a sick sense of humor. Or destiny has patience. Maya laughed. It came out sharp, broken. Don't romanticize this. You don't get to show up after 3 years and talk about destiny. Then what would you call it? Minho stood, moved closer. I walk into a random cafe in a city I barely know, and there you are. With a child who looks exactly like me. Coincidence. You don't believe that. She didn't. But admitting it felt like surrender. Why did you leave Seoul? His question was soft. Dangerous. You know why. Tell me anyway. Maya set down her cloth, met his eyes. Because you made it clear that night was a mistake. Because your note said it couldn't continue. Because I was a scholarship student from the favelas and you were... She gestured at him. This. And when I found out I was pregnant, I knew you'd either offer me money to disappear or marry me out of obligation. I didn't want either. Silence. Then. So you chose to disappear anyway. I chose to give my son a life where he wasn't a mistake. A complication. A scandal. He's my son, too. The words hit her like a physical blow. She gripped the counter. Don't do this. Do what? Claim my child. He's not a business acquisition, Minho. You can't just, I know. His voice cracked. Actually cracked. I know he's not a deal to close or a problem to solve. He's my son. And I've already missed 3 years. Maya saw it then. The fracture in his perfect control. The grief behind his eyes. I didn't keep him from you to hurt you, she whispered. I did it to protect him. To protect myself. From me? From what you represent. Power. Control. A world where people like me don't belong. Minho flinched. You think that little of me? I think you're used to getting what you want. And I won't let Lucas become another thing you acquire. He's my son. Not a possession. Then prove it. Maya's voice turned to steel. Prove you're here for him, and not because your pride is wounded. Prove you can be a father and not just a billionaire playing house. The challenge hung between them. From the back room, Lucas's sleepy voice called out, "Mama?" Both of them froze. Maya moved first, but Minho followed. She didn't stop him. Couldn't. Lucas sat on the small couch, rubbing his eyes, his stuffed elephant tucked under one arm. When he saw Minho, he tilted his head, curious. "Are you still here?" Minho crouched down, slowly, like approaching something precious and fragile. "I am. Is that okay?" Lucas studied him with those devastating eyes, Minho's eyes, then nodded. "You're tall." A smile ghosted across Minho's face. "You'll be tall too." "Like you?" "Maybe." "Do you like elephants?" Minho glanced at the stuffed toy. "I do now." Lucas beamed, held out the elephant. "This is Cinza. It means gray in Portuguese. Mama taught me." "It's a good name." "What's your name?" Minho's throat worked. "Minho." "That's a funny name. So is Lucas." The boy giggled. And just like that, Maya watched her carefully constructed world begin to crack. Because Lucas, sweet, open-hearted Lucas, was already charmed, already curious, already reaching for the father he'd never known he had. And Minho was looking at their son like he'd discovered something worth more than all his billions. He can't just show up and play dad. Maya paced her small apartment above the cafe. Lucas was asleep in his room, oblivious to the storm brewing in her chest. Below, the city hummed its evening song. Cars, voices, the distant sound of samba from a neighbor's radio. Her best friend Camilla sat on the worn couch, watching her with worried eyes. "But he is the dad, Maya. Biology doesn't lie. Biology isn't parenting." Maya stopped at the window, stared out at nothing. Parenting is 3 a.m. fevers and scraped knees and reading the same story 40 times because he loves the elephant. Minho missed all of that. "Because you didn't tell him. Because he didn't want me." Camilla stood, crossed to her. "You don't know that. You assumed." His note was pretty clear. His note said that night couldn't continue. Not that you couldn't. Maya closed her eyes. The memory was still sharp, waking up in silk sheets, her body aching in the best way, reaching for him and finding only empty space. Then the note. Elegant handwriting on hotel stationery. "What we shared was beautiful, but my life doesn't have room for complications. I'm sorry." She'd left Seoul 2 weeks later with a positive pregnancy test and a broken heart. What if he wants custody? The fear finally escaped. "He has money, power, lawyers. He has nothing without you," Camilla said firmly. "Lucas doesn't know him, won't trust him, and no judge would rip a child from his mother without cause. He could make my life hell, or he could be a father." Maya wanted to believe it. God, she wanted to. But trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She knew it was him before she answered. "How did you get my number?" Minho's voice was quiet. "Careful. I own half the telecommunications infrastructure in South America. Finding a phone number is not difficult." "That's comforting." "I'm not trying to scare you, Maya. I'm trying to talk to you." "We talked." "No," I demanded. "You defended. That's not talking." Silence. "Then, I want to know him." Minho's voice cracked again. "Please. I'm not asking for custody or control. I'm asking for a chance, to be his father, to be in his life." "Why now? Why here?" "I've been looking for you for 2 years." The admission stole her breath. "What?" "You disappeared so completely. No forwarding address. No social media. Nothing. I hired investigators, searched 5 countries. I thought..." He stopped. Breathed. "I thought maybe you were dead, or married, or happy somewhere I'd never find you. So you gave up?" "I opened this branch because São Paulo was the last city anyone placed you in. I've been here every month for 2 years, hoping..." His voice broke. "Hoping I'd run into you buying groceries or crossing a street. Hoping the universe would be kind. And then today, You walked into my cafe and saw my son. Maya pressed her forehead against the cool window. This is insane. I know. You can't just uproot his life. I don't want to. I want to be part of it. How? You live in Seoul. Your company? I can work remotely. I can relocate the regional headquarters here. He stopped. I can do whatever it takes. Just don't shut me out. Maya's throat tightened. This was the Minho she remembered. Not the cold billionaire, but the man who'd talked to her about stars and dreams in a hotel room at 3 a.m. The man who'd made her feel seen. He asks about his father sometimes, she whispered. I tell him his daddy lives far away, that he's important and busy but loves him very much. You told him I love him? I couldn't tell him the truth, that I ran before you could reject us. I wouldn't have. You don't know that. Her voice hardened. You don't know what you would have done, and neither do I. So I made a choice. Maybe it was wrong, maybe it was selfish, but it was mine. Another silence. Longer. Heavier. What now? Minho finally asked. Now you prove you mean it. You don't get to be a weekend dad or a checkbook father. If you're in, you're all in. Bedtime stories, scraped knees, tantrums in grocery stores, the boring, beautiful, messy reality of raising a child. I'm in. Then we start slow. You visit, supervised. You get to know him. And if he's comfortable, we go from there. Okay. And Minho? If you hurt him, if you disappear again, I will make sure you regret it. I don't care how powerful you are. I won't. His voice was stone and promise. I swear on everything I am. I won't leave him. Or you. The last two words hung in the air like a confession. Maya ended the call before she could respond. Before she could acknowledge the way her heart had stuttered. Before she could admit that some part of her, the foolish, hopeful part she'd tried to bury, still wanted him too. Outside, the city kept spinning. Inside, everything had changed. Tomorrow, Kang Minho would meet his son. Really meet him. And Maya had no idea if she was saving Lucas's life or breaking her own heart all over again. The playground was neutral territory. Maya had chosen it carefully. Public, bright, full of other parents and children. Somewhere Minho couldn't overwhelm Lucas with gifts or promises. Somewhere normal. She watched from a bench as Minho arrived exactly on time, dressed down in jeans and a simple black sweater that probably cost more than her monthly rent. He looked uncomfortable, out of place. A billionaire trying to blend into a world of scraped knees and juice boxes. Lucas was on the swings, pumping his legs, his laughter bright as bells. He doesn't know yet, Maya said as Minho sat beside her. Not too close. Respectful distance. That you're his father. I told him you're a new friend, someone who wants to get to know him. Thank you. Minho's voice was rough. For this. For letting me. Don't thank me yet. He's 3. His attention span is approximately 8 seconds. He might decide you're boring and run off to play with strangers. A ghost of a smile. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals. I think I can handle a 3-year-old. Those billion-dollar deals didn't have your eyes and the power to destroy you with a single tantrum. Minho's smile faded. You're right. This is more terrifying. Lucas spotted them. Jumped off the swing mid-arc with the fearless confidence of toddlers everywhere. Maya's heart lurched. It always did. But he landed perfectly, stumbled, laughed, and ran over. Mama! Minho! He crashed into Minho's legs like a small, joyful missile. You came. Do you like swings? I can swing really high. Want to see? Minho looked down at the child clinging to him. His child. And something in his carefully controlled expression cracked open. I'd love to see. Come on. Lucas grabbed his hand, pulled. Minho glanced at Maya. She nodded, permission granted. She watched them cross the playground together. Lucas chattering nonstop, Minho listening like every word was scripture. When they reached the swings, Lucas climbed on and demanded to be pushed really, really high, but not too high because Mama says I'm not allowed to touch the clouds yet. Minho pushed him gently, carefully, like Lucas was made of glass and wishes. Higher! Lucas shrieked with delight. Minho pushed harder. And there, right there, Maya saw it. The smile that broke across Minho's face. Genuine, unguarded. The same smile he'd given her 3 years ago when she'd made him laugh at a terrible joke about Korean dramas. Her chest tightened. This was dangerous, not because Minho might hurt Lucas, but because she was starting to believe he wouldn't. An hour passed. Then 2. Minho pushed Lucas on the swings, helped him navigate the climbing structure, sat in the sandbox and built terrible lopsided castles, while Lucas directed him like a tiny architect. He never checked his phone, never looked bored, never treated Lucas like an obligation. He looked at their son like he was the entire universe compressed into 40 inches of chaos and wonder. Minho, are you hungry? Lucas asked suddenly. Mama makes really good brigadeiro. It's chocolate. You'd like it. Minho glanced at Maya. Question in his eyes. She should say no, should keep boundaries firm, should protect herself. We're making them tonight anyway, she heard herself say. You can stay for dinner, if you want. I want. So they walked back to the cafe together. A strange, fragile unit. Lucas between them, holding both their hands, swinging himself forward with shrieks of laughter. People smiled at them. A family, they probably thought. How sweet. If only they knew. Maya's apartment above the cafe was small, lived in, colorful fabrics draped over worn furniture. Lucas's drawings covered the refrigerator. Books in Portuguese and English stacked on every surface. It smelled like coffee and cinnamon and home. Minho stood in the doorway like he was entering a cathedral. It's not much, Maya said, suddenly self-conscious. It's everything. His voice was quiet, reverent. It's where he grew up, where you built a life. He stopped. It's more than any house I own. Lucas dragged him to the kitchen. You have to help make the brigadeiro. Mama lets me stir, but you have to be really careful because it's hot. They cooked together. Maya melting chocolate and condensed milk. Lucas helping by licking spoons and getting chocolate everywhere. Minho watching like he was memorizing every second. When Lucas demanded Minho lift him up to see into the pot, Minho didn't hesitate, just scooped him up with surprising ease, holding him steady while Maya stirred. For a moment, they were close, all 3 of them. A triangle of warmth and chocolate-scented air. Lucas reached out, touched Minho's face with sticky fingers. You have a nice smile. You should smile more. Minho's breath caught. Yeah? Yeah. You look happy when you smile. Like Mama. Your mama has a beautiful smile. Lucas nodded seriously. The most beautiful. That's what she tells me when I'm sad. She says, give me your most beautiful smile, meu amor. And then I feel better. Maya turned away, busied herself with the stove. Her eyes were burning. After dinner, simple, chaotic, perfect. Lucas started yawning. Maya carried him to his room, Minho following quietly. The room was tiny. Walls painted sky blue, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Shelves full of books and toys and treasures only a 3-year-old would understand. Story time, Lucas mumbled, already half asleep. Maya reached for his favorite book, but Lucas shook his head. Minho reads. Minho froze. I've never... Please? Lucas held out the book. A worn copy of Boa Noite Lua in Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, Minho said softly. That's okay. Mama can teach you. She teaches me everything. So Maya sat on one side of the bed, Minho on the other, and together they read to their son. Maya speaking the words, Minho repeating them in his accented, halting Portuguese. Lucas giggled at his pronunciation, corrected him sweetly, then fell asleep before they finished. They sat there in the dim light, their son between them, breathing steady and small and miraculous. Thank you, Minho whispered, for today, for this, for him. He likes you. Maya's voice was soft, careful. You're good with him. I want to be. He stopped, looked at her across Lucas's sleeping form. I want to be the father he deserves, the man you both deserve. Minho, I know I don't have the right. I know I walked away. But Maya, if I could go back, if I could change that morning. You can't, her voice cracked. We can't undo the past. We can only... She looked down at Lucas. We can only try to do better now. Then let me, please, let me be here. Not just for him. For you too. The confession hung in the air like smoke. Maya stood. You should go. It's late. Minho rose, moved to the door. Stopped. I meant what I said. I'm not leaving. Either of you. After he left, Maya stood in Lucas's doorway, watching her son sleep. Outside, the city hummed. Inside, her carefully built walls were crumbling, and she didn't know if that terrified her or gave her hope. 3 weeks became a routine. Minho showed up every evening at 6, sometimes with gifts, small things, thoughtful things, never ostentatious. A book about space because Lucas mentioned loving stars. Art supplies because he'd seen Lucas drawing. A stuffed elephant to keep Sinza company. He learned to make Lucas's favorite foods. Mastered the art of bedtime negotiations. Sat through the same cartoon 17 times without complaint. He was patient, present, real. And Maya was falling apart. Because every evening, she watched Minho become the father Lucas deserved. And every evening, she remembered why she'd fallen for him in the first place. Not the billionaire, not the power, but the man underneath. Kind, careful, capable of devastating tenderness. You're staring again, Camilla said, nudging her. They were at the cafe, watching through the window as Minho played soccer with Lucas in the small courtyard behind the building. Lucas was winning. Minho was letting him. I'm not staring. I'm supervising. You're falling for him again. I never fell out. The admission escaped before she could stop it. Camilla's eyes widened. Maya, I tried. God, I tried. 3 years of telling myself he didn't matter. That what we had was just one night. Just chemistry and champagne and stupidity. But then he shows up and he's... Her voice broke. He's everything I remembered and more. And I hate it. Why? Because he's still Kang Minho. Still a billionaire. Still living in a world where people like me are novelties. And when he gets bored or when his family demands he marry someone appropriate or when reality sets in, you think he'll leave. I know he will. Men like him don't stay. They can't. Their lives don't have room for baristas from favelas with complicated histories. Maybe his life is different now. Because of Lucas, not because of me. Camilla grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. That man looks at you like you hung the moon. I've seen it. Everyone's seen it. He's not here just for Lucas. Then what does he want? Ask him. But Maya couldn't. Because asking meant risking. And she'd already risked everything once and barely survived. That night, after Lucas was asleep, Minho lingered. He'd started doing that lately, finding excuses to stay a few minutes longer. Tonight, he helped her clean up dinner, washed dishes in her tiny kitchen like it was the most natural thing in the world. You don't have to do that, Maya said. You probably have people who... I want to. He dried a plate carefully. This is the best part of my day. Being here, with you both. Minho. My board is pressuring me to return to Seoul. He said it quietly. Didn't look at her. The regional office is stable. My presence here is no longer critical from a business standpoint. Maya's chest constricted. When do you leave? I'm not. She stared at him. What? I told them I'm relocating permanently. They're not happy, but they'll adjust. I'm bringing my core team here. Establishing São Paulo as a secondary headquarters. It makes strategic sense anyway. Latin American markets are growing and... He stopped, set down the dish, turned to face her. I'm not making excuses. The truth is, I don't care about strategic sense. I care about being here, about not missing another day of Lucas's life, about— He stepped closer. About you. Don't. Maya backed up. Hit the counter. Don't do this. Do what? Tell you the truth? Make promises you can't keep. I'm keeping them. His voice was fierce. I'm here. Every day. I'm not running. I'm not hiding behind wealth or distance or fear. I'm here, Maya. For our son. For you. If you'll let me. Why? The word came out broken. Why now? Why not 3 years ago? Because 3 years ago I was a coward. He moved closer. Close enough that she could see the regret in his eyes. You scared me. What I felt that night. It was too much. Too fast. Too real. I'd spent my whole life controlling everything. Building walls. Keeping people at a distance. And then you walked into that ballroom in a borrowed dress with stars in your eyes and you destroyed every defense I had. So you left. So I panicked. I wrote that stupid note because I didn't know how to tell you that you terrified me, that I wanted you so badly it felt like drowning, that if I let myself love you, I'd lose control of everything I'd built. And now I know that control means nothing without you, that empires are empty when you're alone, that I'd rather have chaos with you than silence without you. Maya's hands trembled. You don't know what you're asking. I'm asking for a chance. To prove I'm not the man who left. To show you I can be the man you both need. What if you can't? What if your family, your world, what if it's too much? Then we'll face it together. You make it sound simple. It's not. He reached out, slowly, gave her time to pull away. When she didn't, his hand cupped her face with devastating gentleness. Nothing about this is simple. But it's real, and I'm done running from real. Maya closed her eyes, leaned into his touch. I'm terrified. Me too. What if we hurt him? What if we get this wrong? Then we'll figure it out, together. She opened her eyes, met his gaze, saw everything there. Hope, fear, want, promise. I never stopped loving you, she whispered. I tried. God, I tried. But you've been here the whole time, in Lucas's eyes, in my heart, in every quiet moment when I let myself remember. Minho's breath shuddered. Maya, but love isn't enough. Not if— He kissed her. Soft, careful, like she was precious and breakable and everything he'd been searching for. His hand cradled her face, his other arm wrapping around her waist, pulling her close enough to feel his heartbeat, frantic and real against her own. Maya melted. 3 years of walls crumbling in seconds. She kissed him back. All the longing, all the anger, all the desperate hope she'd buried. Kissed him like he was oxygen after drowning. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Minho pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, he whispered. I loved you that night. I loved you when I woke up alone because I was too stupid to stay. I loved you every day you were gone. And I'll love you every day after this if you'll let me. Minho, you don't have to say it back. Not yet. Not until you trust me. Just let me prove it. Let me stay. Maya pulled back, looked at him. Really looked. Saw the man who'd pushed Lucas on swings, who'd learned Portuguese bedtime stories, who'd washed dishes in her tiny kitchen like it mattered. Okay, she breathed. Stay. 6 months later, the cafe had doubled in size. Not because of Minho's money, Maya had refused that firmly, but because word had spread about the little Brazilian cafe with the best coffee and the warmest atmosphere. Because Maya had hired 2 more baristas and expanded the menu. Because she'd built something beautiful, and it was thriving. Minho's regional headquarters occupied the top 3 floors of a building 2 blocks away, close enough to walk to the cafe for lunch, far enough to give Maya her independence. They'd found a rhythm, messy, imperfect, real. Lucas called him Pai now, the Portuguese word for father that meant everything. Minho had cried the first time he heard it, actual tears, in the middle of the playground, while Lucas patted his face and said, It's okay, Pi. Crying is brave. They hadn't told Lucas the whole truth yet. That Minho wasn't just a friend who'd become family, but his father from the beginning. That would come later, when he was older, when he could understand. For now, it was enough that Lucas loved him, trusted him, reached for him in the night when nightmares came. Maya and Minho were taking it slow, dating, in the strange way people with a child and a complicated history dated. Stolen kisses in the cafe after closing. Late-night phone calls when Lucas was asleep. Dinners that felt like coming home. His family had been another matter entirely. The Kang family had not taken the news well. A Brazilian barista. An illegitimate grandson. A son who'd abandoned Seoul for São Paulo. The scandal had been immediate and vicious. Minho had flown to Seoul once. Returned 2 days later with shadows under his eyes and a fierce determination in his jaw. They wanted me to come back, to leave you both behind, to... He'd stopped, taken her hands. I told them no. I told them that you and Lucas are my family now, that they can accept it or not, but I'm not changing my mind. What did they say? My mother hung up on me. My father threatened to cut me off. My grandmother called me a disgrace. Minho, I don't care. He'd pulled her close. I have everything I need right here. Money, legacy, approval, none of it matters if I don't have you. But Maya knew it cost him. Knew he grieved the family he'd lost even as he built a new one. So she held him when the weight got heavy. Reminded him that he was enough. That they were enough. The pressure had been relentless at first. Phone calls at odd hours. Emails filled with disappointment and ultimatums. His younger sister had been the only one to reach out with kindness. A short message that said simply, I hope you're happy, Appa. That's all that matters. Minho had stared at those words for a long time, then forwarded the message to Maya with a single sentence. She's right. Slowly, painfully, he'd built boundaries, stopped answering calls that began with accusations, refused meetings that demanded he choose between his heritage and his heart. He grieved. Maya watched him grieve, but he didn't break. They'll come around, she'd told him one night, holding him in the darkness of their bedroom. Maybe, maybe not. But I chose this. I choose you. Every day. Today was different, though. Today was important. You sure about this? Maya asked, adjusting Minho's tie in their bedroom. Their bedroom now, in the apartment they'd moved into together last month. Bigger, brighter, with a room just for Lucas filled with stars on the ceiling and dreams on the walls. Never been more sure of anything. He caught her hands, kissed them. You're trembling. It's a big deal. It's right. Lucas burst in, dressed in his tiny suit that Minho had taken him to pick out last week. They'd spent 2 hours in the store, Lucas trying on jackets and declaring himself very professional, while Minho documented everything with his phone like a man discovering magic. Do I look handsome, Mama? The most handsome, she said, crouching down. You ready? To be a family? I've been ready forever. He said it so simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. The courthouse was small, intimate, just them, Camilla as witness, and a judge who smiled warmly at Lucas's enthusiastic greeting. Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Lucas, and today I get to be officially official. The judge laughed. Is that so? Yes. Pi says it's very important. We practiced my signature and everything. Maya's heart swelled. Pi. The word that had changed everything. The adoption papers were simple. Legal recognition of what had always been true. That Kang Minho was Lucas's father. That Lucas was his son. That this family, born from one impossible night and 3 years of separation, was real and legal and permanent. The judge explained the process gently, speaking to Lucas like he mattered. Do you understand that this means Minho will be your father forever? That he'll take care of you and love you and be part of your family always? Lucas looked up at Minho, then at Maya, then back at the judge with absolute certainty. He already does all that. We're just making it official. And you want this? more than anything, except maybe a puppy. But Mama says we have to wait until we move to the bigger house. Laughter rippled through the small room. When it came time to sign, Minho's hand shook. Maya covered it with hers, steadied him. Together, they signed their names. Then Lucas, with his careful 3-year-old scrawl, added his mark. When the judge declared it official, Lucas cheered. Minho lifted him up, held him close, and whispered something in Korean that made Lucas giggle and hug him tighter. "What did he say?" Maya asked later. "I told him he's my greatest adventure, my truest success, my whole heart." Maya wiped away tears. Happy ones. Finally. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside the courthouse, a family was made official. Papers stamped. Love legalized. Forever documented in ink and promise. That night, they celebrated at the cafe. Close friends, neighbors, the small community that had embraced them. Music played, samba and bossa nova, and the soundtrack of a life Maya had built brick by brick. Lucas danced with wild abandon. Minho held Maya close, swaying to the rhythm he was slowly learning. "I'm terrible at this," he murmured, stepping on her foot for the 3rd time. "You're perfect at this." She pulled him closer. "You're here. That's all that matters." "I want to ask you something," he said suddenly. He pulled back, looked at her with those dark eyes that had haunted her dreams for 3 years, reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's breath stopped. "Not here," he said quickly. "Not now. I don't want to steal Lucas's day, but..." He opened the box. Inside, a ring. Simple. Elegant. A single diamond that caught the light like captured starlight. "Marry me." "Minho, not tomorrow. Not until you're ready. But someday." He cupped her face with his free hand. "Marry me, Maya. Let me be yours officially. Let me wake up next to you every morning and know that this, us, is forever." Around them, the party continued. Music and laughter and life. But in their small bubble, time had stopped. "You don't have to answer now," he continued. "Just think about it. Think about building a life together. Really together. Think about more children, maybe. A house with a yard big enough for Lucas to run wild, growing old and gray and watching our grandchildren play. Think about forever." Maya looked around. At Lucas, spinning in circles with Camilla, his laughter bright as bells. At the cafe she'd built with her own hands, every table and chair chosen with care. At the community that had welcomed her when she arrived broken and afraid. At Minho, who'd crossed oceans and faced down his own demons to be here. She thought about 3 years ago, waking up alone, running scared, building a life from nothing. She thought about 6 months ago, the bell above the cafe door, the moment everything changed. She thought about every day since. Minho learning Portuguese, reading bedtime stories, pushing Lucas on swings, washing dishes, being present, being real. "Yes," she whispered. He stilled. "What?" "Yes, I'll marry you. Not someday. Soon. Because you're right. This is forever. You and me and Lucas and whatever comes next. I'm done being afraid. Done running, done pretending this isn't exactly what I always wanted." Minho kissed her, deep and sweet and full of promise. Around them, people noticed. Cheered. Camilla whooped. Lucas ran over, demanding to know why everyone was happy. "Because Mama said yes," someone shouted. Yes to what? Minho knelt down, eye level with their son. Yes to marrying me, to being a family, forever and ever. Lucas's eyes went wide. Like in the movies? Better than the movies. Will there be cake? Maya laughed through tears. So much cake. Then I say yes too. Lucas threw his arms around both of them. We're going to be the best family ever. Later, after the party wound down, after friends had hugged them and left with promises to help plan the wedding, after Lucas was tucked in bed clutching both Sinza and his new elephant, a gift from Minho's sister with a note that said, Welcome to the family, little nephew. Minho and Maya stood on their small balcony. The city sparkled below them, infinite and alive. Somewhere music played. Somewhere people were falling in love for the first time. Somewhere hearts were breaking and mending and learning to trust again. I used to think love was a weakness, Minho said quietly. Something that made you vulnerable, controllable. And now? Now I know it's the only thing that makes us human, the only empire worth building. Maya leaned into him, felt his heartbeat steady against her back. We've come a long way from that hotel room. Best wrong turn I ever took, she laughed. It wasn't wrong, it was just early. He turned her to face him. We were early. The universe wasn't ready for us yet. But now we're right on time. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her mouth, soft and reverent and full of all the tomorrows they'd build together. My father called today, he said suddenly. Maya tensed. And he wants to meet Lucas. Wants to... Minho's voice caught. He said he was wrong. That family is family, no matter how it's built. He's flying here next month. How do you feel about that? Terrified. Hopeful. Grateful. He pulled her closer. Mostly grateful. That I get to introduce him to his grandson. To the woman I love. To the life I chose. The life we chose, Maya corrected. The life we chose, he agreed. Inside, Lucas stirred, called out sleepily for water. They moved together, perfectly synchronized now. This dance of parenthood they'd learned step by step. Minho filled the cup. Maya delivered it. Lucas mumbled thanks and fell back asleep immediately. They stood in his doorway, watching him breathe. He's getting so big, Maya whispered. Too big. Too fast. Next year he starts school. Don't remind me. I'm not ready. You'll be the dad who cries at drop-off. Absolutely. No shame. Maya smiled, took his hand, led him back to their room. Later, wrapped in each other in the darkness, Minho spoke into her hair. Thank you. For what? For running. For coming back. For giving me a second chance I didn't deserve. You deserved it. You just didn't know it yet. I love you. I'll never stop saying it. Good. I'll never stop hearing it. Outside, the world kept spinning. Seasons would change. Lucas would grow. Challenges would come. But here, now, in this moment, they were complete. Some stories begin with a single night. Some begin with a mistake that becomes a miracle. This one began with both, and grew into an empire built not on money or power, but on love, patience, and the courage to choose each other every single day, forever and ever. Just like Lucas said, the end.